Greetings once again, heroes and villains. Duuz-Diz-Din, back again with My Hero Academia. Previously, the assault against All for One continues on, with a brainwashed Gigantomachia even being thrown into the fray. But as All for One tries to jolt him from the brainwashing, it turns out Gigantomachia has a few emotions he'd like to unleash against his master, feeling left behind since, let's face it, ever since the beginning of the series, Gigantomachia has just constantly been searching for his master, always being separated, never feeling cared about. Well, finally, that lack of attention has come to a head. Like a jilted lover, Gigantomachia has turned against All for One, earnestly joining the fray against him. And while this is going down, All for One's successor, Shigaraki, faces off against Deku in a fight to decide the fate of the world that is being broadcast to the rest of the world, as a few brave reporters do what they need to do in order to show the world how much the heroes who are left behind, who still kept up the good fight, who rose to the occasion, are still doing their best. Be it win or lose, the world will know of their bravery. What will be the outcome? Join me as we continue to find out, won't you? Alright, so we have My Hero Academia, number 385. The Impulses of Youth. And we have a layout of the battlefield. I love the shot we get of how it looks from a distance, of the absolute insanity that is the onslaught against All for One. It just looks like a just natural disaster is going off in that one area. So we have Shigaraki to the east, those who are stopping his advance. You have Tokoyami, Hawks, and a few others all combined and basically riding Dark Shadow. Gigantomachia and Mount Lady going at him from another side. Yoroshi, Inase, and the other Shiketsu backup, taking on All for One, who wants to reach Shigaraki. And way off, I guess to the west, there's the remaining heroes and Shiketsu backup holding back Toga's double. And that's not even including the other fights that are going on elsewhere, with all the other people who were teleported around. Not to mention, speaking of teleportation, we don't actually know what's going on with Aizawa, Present Mike, and Shirakumo / Kurogiri. Wonder if we'll get back to that at some point. Jeez, poor Mount Lady. She looks beaten to shit. And as she tries to go back in with the weapon, it just starts falling apart from all the smashing. Like, even her hands look bloody and raw from just all the effort. And she shouts, this one's busted too. Another one rule. Oh, so she's using enlarged support item. And you have Mineta watching as Mount Lady is going at it. We never really developed their relationship, did we? So as Yanagi uses her, poltergeist ability to cause the item to float, Kodai, chucks it up, enlarges it, and Kodai shouts to Mount Lady, all that's left lying around is Detenorat stuff. And as Mount Lady switches weapons, she shouts, anything'll work. That pounds the Demon Lord to a pulp, she says as she goes in, but yeah, it's obvious she is exhausted. She is wheezing up a storm. And even Tokoyami, who's still striking out with Dark Shadow, is huffing and a puffing. And Hawks tells him, hey, I'm sorry that being your wingman is all I can do. And Tokoyami says, your support grants boulders light more speed. Again, we just cut to the area where All for One is. Or whatever. You can't even tell what's going on as they just keep pouring it on the area. Like, I love stuff like this. Like, people were criticizing before, it's just like, oh man, these guys shouldn't be able to hold back All for One, and then you get to this, and it's just like, oh no, most people acknowledge they shouldn't be able to hold back All for One. That's why they're just unloading what they can to hold him back, and it's awesome. This is the kind of stuff I've always wanted to see in terms of shonen stuff, where it's just like, hell, you don't have certain characters to just really push their weight against a really powerful adversary, so you just get as many characters as you can to just unload. Because in my opinion, that shows the power of an adversary. When you have to get multiple heroes to just stack up against them, and they're basically just trying to beat out the clock, I don't know, that makes me feel something. Oh shit. Suddenly, All for One unleashes an attack that, just gets Mount Lady in her stomach side, but I don't know. Hawks looks on in terror. Mineta is taken by surprise as he screams out for Mount Lady, who goes down. Next, something erupts out of the ground, striking at Gigantomachia, sending him to the ground. Man, they were doing some damage, because All For One, like, he was beaten down to the bone, but his regeneration is like bringing him back. As All For One says, "A dog that bites must be put down." All For One then proceeds to float up into the air, saying, "Perhaps this is my other self's influence, but something dark brews within my core." Oh yeah, jeez, they were literally pounding him into a pulp. Jeebus. All For One says, "The younger I revert, the more untamable it grows." As he unleashes a blast that cuts through Dark Shadow, you have Hawks trying his best to just hold off the attack as both he and Tokoyami are blown away. Jesus. All For One continues on saying, "And the more I give myself over to this darkness, the more I can draw on my quirk's latent potential. For instance, a cataclysmic blast of light." Oh yeah, he realized that because it was like a light energy beam like attack. He went straight for Tokoyami's weakness. And Kirishima, who is helping Shinso off of the down Gigantomachia, he calls out for Tokoyami while Anase shouts, "Don't let up!" While the reforming All For One says, "Youth is a wondrous thing." Jeez, the landscape is decimated. All For One says, "The boy pushed me to such lengths, so I'll be taking his quirk out of my way." And you see Tokoyami on the ground, and All For One holding Hawks up by his neck. Hawks, who is like stabbing into All For One with his sword. He's taking his quirk. All For One says, "You made a decent showing of it, Hawk. Fierce Wing, a putrid festering quirk factor. It's to your credit that you got this far using such garbage." Man, All For One sounds like some of the fans I've heard. Hawk says, "So the quirks you stock work inside your body don't mesh so well when you're rewinding, huh? Sucks to be you." Wait, I don't completely understand that. So as he's rewinding, is he not able to steal quirks? Or is it that they're not working properly because of the rewinding? Oh man. And All For One just kind of takes the blade he's being stabbed with and slowly pushes it out of his body. Oh, okay, so it's slow to absorb because All For One thinks all this damage is hastening the process. And suddenly, one of Mineta's pop-off thingy balls clings to All For One's leg. And All For One looks over at Mineta as he says, "Stealing Dark Shadow for yourself is only going to turn you into a cringy edgelord. You want a real quirk? Take my pop-off instead. You'll get the sickest hairdo. Just don't take Dark Shadow from Tokoyami." Mineta says, beaten and bloody on the ground, obvious fear in his eyes. All For One barely acknowledges him and thinks back to Jiro's thinking, "The braying howls of the weak, but every precious second counts." Yeah, he realizes that it's just stalling. That's all it is. He then looks up and says, "Look there, a news chopper. Yes, let the people witness this carnage and lose faith in you all over again. Your heroes couldn't protect a thing." All For One goes racing off. Did he fully steal Hawks' quirk? Or, I don't know. Hawks thinks to himself, as the faction receiving refugees from UA, we were designated as purely non-aggressive defense force, yet the refugees have yet to arrive. Wait, what? Or is that what he remembers Seiji saying? The refugees had yet to arrive. Is he thinking that something happened? Or Hawks on the ground says, there's still a glimmer of hope. Man, what else do you have in the bag? Alright, we pick up on the subterranean evacuation system, UA to Shiketsu route. Yeah, when they said that the whole entirety of UA could just like move over to Shiketsu. But the people call out, "Why aren't we moving? The lights went out. I'm scared." We have Natsuo protecting Fumi and Rei saying, "Mom, sis, stay close to me." We have the kids watching everything on a tablet who are at the remedial licensing exam saying, "My lady and them got all beat up." And the one preppy kid says, "Nonsense. It must be fake news." Oh god. Translator, no. And the people watching on their phones and stuff say, "This is messed up, man. We put our faith in them and this is what we get. Oh, come on, dude. We then cut to Task Force HQ, but still, like, they are literally trying their damnedest against an enemy that even your symbol of peace, All Might, ended up losing everything to in a fight. So it's just like, y'all need to shut the fuck up. These people who only cheer on the heroes when they're friggin' winning. Regardless, we cut to Task Force HQ. Several police at the console say, no full damage report yet. All for One is moving due east. This is looking bad. Tsukuuchi says, Aiba, give us an update. Labrava says, I took back control of the evac system, so multiple blocks are on the move, but one of them's been stopped from inside. Someone's up to no good. Uh-oh. Yeah, do we know that person? I guess it's just one of the people from the Metahuman Liberation Front who thinks to himself, I know All for One told us to obey Skeptic's order, but now we've lost contact. How can I produce results for All for One? By the end of today, the world will be his to command. Unless we contribute to his cause, we've got no future. And I guess the dude is like, has an electric quirk, and I guess he's jamming the signal to get everything to move. Or maybe he's about to blow things up? Because you see Gunhead rushing in saying, I found the mole! But suddenly there's explosions going off. Kendo sees it and calls out for Tetsu, who goes rushing in. Some rubble is about to fall on some civilians, and before Tetsu can get to it, you have Death Arms coming in, making a minor contribution. I'm still kinda sad that Death Arms gave it up. Like, Death Arms was like one of those dudes. I thought he'd be there at the end with Mount Lady and Kamui, but it goes to show, just even one of the tougher heroes like Death Arms could be dejected by everything going on. But as Death Arms holds up the rubble, he says, I know what lies ahead. We're gonna see history repeat itself. I know that, but even so, it's hard to explain. And he remembers... Really? Wow, he remembers that. When Deku rushed in to save Bakugo when he was being consumed by the sludge villain, and he was the one to say he'll die for nothing. Does he have a death wish? And Death Arm says the words, it's hard to explain. My body took action all on its own. God damn. Ugh, that gave me the warm fuzzies. Just like, those words again. And then we cut to Inkamino Ward, where Todoroki's being held up by Ida, who, I gotta say, Ida with just the mask over his mouth and without the helmet stuff, that's a pretty cool look. And Todoroki says, not yet. It's not over yet. And off in the corner, skulking on a nearby building, is Stain, the hero killer. I was wondering what part he was gonna play in all of this. Not to mention, next to him, almost looks like a freaking goblin glider. Is it some kind of support item? I do wonder how he's gonna factor into all of this. See, with everything going on, everything that he's seeing, you know, is this really what Stain wanted at the end of the day? You know, there are those who are rising to the occasion despite everything and those who have fallen short. But with what Death Arms just did, it showed that despite everything, there's still a sense of heroism in him. He'll still rise to the occasion to save people because he can. You know, that's the thing. He stepped away because of everything that was going on. The cruelty, the mistreatment, the put-downs, but it's just he's not just gonna stand by and watch people die when they're in danger right in front of him. So I do wonder, will there be something that changes Stain's point of view, even just slightly? Because that feels like what we would need to have happen here. Something that alters how Stain feels about hero society and what it's come to ever since he'd been locked away. To some capacity, it's been proving right, but there was also many heroes who died in the line of duty. They didn't run, and it wasn't just about getting the bag, it was about, you know, doing what you needed to do. Like, what about Majestic? What about Crust? They died doing what they could to save lives. I don't know, there's just some heroes who really kind of showed their mettle ever since the Paranormal Liberation War. And though I was kind of disappointed in Death Arms for walking away, you know, he's still got the fight in him. I wonder how many other heroes are like lurking around. Because as the fight gets closer, there are going to be those who can't just walk away, who have to fight because the fight has come to them. I was wondering where Tetsu and Kendo were in all of this. I guess you needed some to stay behind to protect civilians no matter what. And it's odd to see Gunhead after all this time too, man. I also wonder if the rest of the Todorokis will get involved. Rei, Fumi, Natsuo, maybe even the little kids will do something. I don't know if we know how many agents of the Liberation are inside the UA evacuation system. I'm also still wondering, did he get Hawks' quirk? Or was the regeneration causing him to not be able to fully just take it? It would really suck if even that got taken away from Hawks and all that. For a second, when we had that shot of him being held up by All For One, I thought he lost an arm as well. I also gotta say, Mineta, honestly, I wish he was able to throw more of his pop-offs, because we know how hard those things stick. If nothing else, it would make a great way to just hold back All For One. Even just a few more seconds. And man, it does suck, because they were doing pretty well. I didn't even realize how badly damaged All For One was getting in that fight. But he was being literally eviscerated. They were freaking destroying him. And some of these moments are gonna look great anime. Holy crap. And I do hope Mount Lady's okay too. She got fucked up. But I still find myself just really appreciating the effort she was putting in. Mount Lady has been sticking it out. If there was anyone I thought was going to give it up in some capacity, it was Mount Lady. But I want it to be everybody who came in's efforts that really stalled All For One up until the last minute. I want their stalling to have worked. I would hate it for him to still get what he wants after all of this, because I'm just really impressed by this. Again, I don't get to see stuff like this often enough in a lot of shonen I see. And this is the kind of stuff I want to see. That desperate struggle against a superior adversary where it takes a lot of people coming together to just really put the hurt on a mofo. Well, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Will All For One make his way to Shigaraki? What danger lies within the bunker? And also, given that Todoroki and Ida aren't anywhere near where Dabi was spat out, how are they going to get there in time? Will it be Stain who ends up acting as a taxi service? I don't know. Again, let me know your thoughts. Remember to subscribe for more My Hero Academia. And until then, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din and hope to see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.